Hi, today I'm going to talk about evaluating resources for essays, in particular argumentative essays. So today I'm going to start by exploring my claim. My claim is animals should not be kept in zoos. So whenever I go out searching for resources, I can type in my claim, or I can type in just keywords for my claim. So today I'm going to start by typing in many people, when they get Google results, will just go to the first resource that is in the Google results. That's not always the best idea. So you want to be sure that you kind of look through your list of results. So I'm seeing resources from animal rights at about.com. I know about.com is a user-generated website, much like Wikipedia. So I'm going to skip that one for now. Debate.org, I don't know, PETA. We obviously know where PETA would probably stand on that, so I'll come back to that whenever I want their specific opinion. But I'm seeing one at Animal Planet. So I'm going to check out Animal Planet because it says, are zoos good or bad for animals? So I have a feeling that they're going to explore both sides of the topic, claim or not. To do this, you're going to have to actually read through the article. This one has 4 pages of information that I read through before this to kind of give myself just a mental check, is this going to help me? I have determined that I think this particular resource will help me because it has claims and counterclaims to my claim. So the next thing you're going to do, once you realize that it's relevant, is ask yourself some questions. There is a tool that you can use to ask yourself questions, and once you've kind of gotten used to the questions that this tool provides, you can start doing it just mentally without using the tool. But if you still need the tool, what you need to do is go to the website researchready.com and click on Website Evaluator. This will open up the Research Ready Website Evaluator. Now, this isn't a magic bullet. You're not going to be able to put in your URL and magically be told, yes, this is a great resource. You're going to have to think critically about the resource. Research Ready Website Evaluator just kind of takes you through the steps of thinking critically about your resource. So what you do when you're at the website evaluator is you put in the URL, you click go, and then it will open up your website with a frame on the side that kind of, whenever I look at this website, I have to figure out if it's trying to entertain me, sell me something, persuade me one way or the other, or inform and teach me. So if you're not quite sure, you can use the little help menus, and it will give you some kind of ideas that help you determine which of these appear to use to figure out how you need to answer this question. So as I've evaluated this website prior, I know it's not to entertain me. I know it's not trying to sell me on a product. There are some persuasive techniques, but mostly this is giving me both sides of the argument, and it's informing me about whether or not zoos are something good for animals. So I'm going to choose inform or teach. So whenever you're thinking about the purpose, when it is to sell, you might think that that's lowering the reliability of the website. If it is to inform, then you're thinking that it's increasing the value of the website. Next is accuracy. Whenever you're trying to determine whether a website is accurate or not, that gives you some things to look for. Are there citations? Is there evidence to back up the claims? Are there spelling and grammar errors? Does the information match that in other credible sources? So what you do is you look through your article, and I'm noticing they have a source, Fravel, Encarta, and then on other pages they have more sources, and then when you get to the end, they actually have a list of sources that you can go and see where they got their information. So I feel that They have gone out and culled a bunch of good resources to support their claims. And I can also go to these resources and make sure that they didn't just pull to manipulate the facts. So when I think about citations and works cited list, I'm giving this one a thumbs up. They use evidence to back up their claims. There are very few spelling or grammar errors, if any at all. And I think that I could go out, like I said, and find this on other credible sites. So I'm going to say that the information in this article is accurate. Obviously, as you move down this list, your reliability is going to articles will have the author at the first page. If your author does not provide a name, doesn't put their name on their work, then they are becoming less credible. So we have the options of a scholar, expert, a journalist, user-generated like Wikipedia, or no author given. Obviously, as you move down, it's going to decrease the reliability of your source. So I see that this is by Jennifer Horton. I don't know who Jennifer Horton is. So I'm going to click on her name. In this case, it's going to tell me that she is a How Stuff Works author. And what I can do is search for her name in this, and it tells me that Jennifer Horton is an Emory University graduate in environmental studies. So she is a scholar of environmental studies. I don't know if that makes her a 100% credible resource for zoos, but I would say she's not a journalist because she doesn't write for a newspaper, and it's kind of not necessarily user-generated, but it is. I mean, she's a user of How Stuff Works. But I'm going to say she is a scholar. She may not be an expert, but she is a scholar. The next thing is the publisher. The publisher of this one, obviously, is Animal Planet. Animal Planet has asked or has received this article and thought that they needed to share this as part of their reputation. Obviously, Animal Planet is about teaching people about animals. So their job is to cull resources that can help people understand more about animals. So obviously, they have put this on here. They've taken credit for the content, and it seems like it's a credible source because this is a very fact-based article. So then we think about relevance. Obviously, that's the first step, so you've probably already determined whether it's relevant. As you've looked through, you may have changed your mind. The more time you've spent with the article, you may realize, this doesn't exactly suit my needs. So this is where you decide whether or not it's relevant. In this case, I think this article is very relevant to my claim animals should not be in zoos. So I'm going to say it's relevant and appropriate. And then currency. You come to how recently was this article written. Sometimes it's okay if an article is a little bit older. Other times it's not. I know recently there has been some animal cruelty cases in zoos. And so I want to make sure that my opinions, the research that I'm getting is fairly recent to reflect the feelings that people are having about zoos' choices to euthanize animals based on aggressiveness or anything like that. So I need to try and find when this article was written. I'm not seeing a date on any of the pages, but as I look at her resources, I can tell that most of them were accessed in September of 2008. So I'm going to assume that this article is from 2008. So it's a little bit older. So whenever I think about it, it probably is very good at representing what I need from the 2008 time, but I'm going to want to make sure that I include resources from more current times too. So I'm going to say that it was not published or updated recently, but it is appropriate to my research because it's going to give me a really good background knowledge on animals in zoos. So finally, once you've thought about all of that stuff, you have to decide whether or not you think the site is credible. one good thing to do is kind of review your answers. If you can't remember exactly what you said, go through here and think about, well, is this credible? The purpose was to inform or teach, and I need to be informed. I felt like the information was accurate, and I need accuracy. The author is a scholar in the subject. She's an environmental scientist. And the publisher is a credible resource. I know that the information is relevant to my research, and even though it wasn't published recently, it was an appropriate time frame for my assignment. So I'm going to say that this resource is credible. Remember, whenever you're looking through resources and trying to determine credibility, you don't always have to use a tool like this, but the questions that it asks are really important to consider when trying to decide whether or not this is a reliable resource for your paper. So remember, always think before you cite.